Hey guys, this is Vinay and you're watching my show Let's Talk. Today I'm honored and privileged to be sitting next to this wonderful lady. She's a musician, she's a singer, she's an entrepreneur, voice artist, and she's a path breaker in her own way. She's one, the only, the versatile singer, Chinmayi. Chinmayi, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking time and coming on to the show.
No problem.
Lovely having you. I want to take back the memory lane for you when you won the first reality show 18 years back.
Well, I'd probably give it a little more credit that it was not a reality show. There was still some sanctity to, I think, music competitions then. It was not about drama, it was more about music. And
yeah.
Straight 3 rounds. You had the quarterfinals, semi and the finals. You had only 3 appearances
no
on stage.
No drama extra at all.
No crying, no showing photographs of dead relatives, nothing. So, yeah, so it happened more because the person who was behind the show called Mr Manimaran was a friend of my mom's, and I was going through a very bad time in school with mathematics and my 10th standard boards, and I was going into depression and stuff like that. So he said, why don't you take her away from this entire education in the humdrum and put her into something completely different in a... So I hadn't watched the show at all. I don't have a culture of watching television at home. So I hadn't watched the show. I had no clue what it was. So they just asked me to sing a film song. I sang something in Hindi. They said, Hindi is not allowed. You have to sing something in Tamil.
What was the song you sang back then?
A very old song. And then finally, I think I tried to see if I remembered 4 or 5 lines of Kannalane or something. I can't remember it.
Okay.
So they were like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. So I got in. I think I had a backdoor entrance, which right now I think it's quite illegal, but I did have a backdoor entrance into that. And then I went through the quarters when Srinivasji sir was my judge, and then I went into the finals and SPB sir was the judge. So I learned only 3 Tamil songs for my entire that show. That's all that was required. And thankfully, the song that I sang to get through was also a very old Hindi song, which thankfully had Tamil lyrics. There was a Tamil version to it. So I just had to memorize the Tamil one, not the tune as such. So yeah, that was more or less my breakthrough. A lot of people still remember even the green pattu pavada chatta, as they say, that I remember you from then. I'm like, great, good for you.
But then back then, when you went into that, obviously you said that you didn't see the show and stuff like that. But did you ever had a dream or a passion to say that I want to make it in the music industry?
I was being trained to be a classical musician. My grandfather's a Padma Bhushan.
Yeah, you come from the family.
Yeah, so I didn't really dip into this legacy of my grandfather for the very simple reason that my parents were separated and I very doggedly did not use his name, right? So, because I was in the classical industry, the Carnatic music field, and then one fine day, I had listened to this song called Nature Illada Matram. And I mean, in all my life until probably Kanathil Muthamettal, I would have watched 4 or 5 films. I'm very similar to Jesse in Vinay Thandivarvaya that way. So my mom would take me to, there were 3 films that I had watched. One was Bombay. The other was this film called Pudhiya Mugam.
Okay.
And Anjali.
So not at all into movies at all.
And all of them had, I think, except of course Bombay, Revati ma'am was, she was my mom's favorite. So we ended up watching that. And then of course Bombay, and then Nature Illada Matram caught my fancy for some reason. And then I learned that there's a term for somebody who sings in the films, and I told my mom I want to be a playback singer. She said, really? How the hell is that going to happen? I said, I don't know. I want to sing my first song for Mr AR Rahman.
Oh, you told that back then?
Yeah, I had decided it has to be with him.
Wow.
So, she just poof that idea. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Just,
She thought you were mad.
I don't think she thought I was mad. She didn't see the opportunity. She just thought it was childish babble, and it's like, yeah, okay. But I was anyway being trained very hectically. I was on a government scholarship for classical music and stuff like that. I was continuing school. She didn't think much about it, neither did I. But I'd always thought that if I ever become a playback singer, I will debut with Rahman sir. And somehow, as they say, if you wish for something
very hard and you go after it, it'll happen.
I didn't go after it. It came after me.
But you really wished...
I wished for it like nothing else.
Nothing else, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's why, I guess, everything, it was set in motion perhaps because of that. Me going on a television show that was unheard of. My mother would never put me on any television show and stuff. I did go into that.
Srinivasji happened to be there.
And he took me to Rahman sir shortly after that. Yeah. And it was 6 degrees of separation, or actually rather 2 at the time. So it was all that. So who, if not for that one time.
How was your first experience of meeting Mr. AR Rahman?
It was as simple as meeting you, because he's as affable and he's as simplistic.
Very down to earth.
Yeah, I think the down to earth is so cliched. Probably people would have made it his surname by now, but that's what he is.
Yeah.
He is. If he walks into the room, there is no airs. You don't feel this, I have now arrived sort of a thing, that especially for a man of his stature.
Of his stature, yeah.
And he is such an inspiration in so many ways. Each time that you think that probably his journey, his entire life is an example, and I think at every level he can be an inspiration for different types of people, not just musicians.
Not just musicians, yeah. And then you got your first break, and one of the songs that you sang, Kannathil Muttamita, like gave you all the accolades and everything that you wished for. Did you pinch yourself and say, this is happening, I had dreamt about it and now I'm doing it?
It didn't hit me then, because I was 15 when I sang the song. So I knew Mani Ratnam sir simply because I had watched Bombay, right? So my knowledge of people in film industry was limited to 3. I had absolutely no clue. I didn't know. I knew all of Hindi songs. I knew because my childhood was in Mumbai, and I had no idea who was who, which lyricist was what, and things like that. So my mom actually pointed to Vairamuthu sir and said, do you see who this is? I said, I don't know. And then Mani sir was like, she's a child, let her be. I said, I don't know why my mother would put me in that spot, because she knew I would have had no idea. And because we were not this film magazine reading family either. I mean, it was a very, very different sort of an upbringing that I had. Vairamuthu sir was kind enough to, let it go, because I had genuinely no idea, and I was an idiot. So, but he was one of the sweetest gentlemen that I had come across at that point, and he told me time and again, saying that and every time he ran into me and my mom at various events after that for years, he would keep saying that
wow.
Always. There was this television serial called Anbulla Snegidhiye that was also produced by Madras Talkies for Sun TV. They wanted me to sing the song. So a lot of people are like, we want to know who this girl was who was recommended by the office. So thankfully, before Kannathil Muttamita came, Anbulla Snegidhiye had started playing on a daily basis on television.
Okay.
So people were like, is this the same girl who's doing but there was no face, attaching a face to this, and people hadn't heard me or seen me on television. Nobody had a clue, and inside the industry it was very easy to spark off that rumor saying that this girl's not from here. Thereafter I go, after about 1.5 years, to record a song for another tele-serial. I was talking to my mom because it was one of the first times that she hadn't accompanied me to a recording. I was talking to her on the phone, and then this gentleman just walks past me and goes inside the studio. So I go inside, and her mother, Sripriya ma'am's mom, was talking to me in English. So I responded like, and thereafter she commented saying, I didn't know she was referring to me. And thereafter this gentleman comes in and he says, "Neenga Tamila?" I'm like, "Ama, neenga vandu Bengali பொண்ணுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்களே எல்லாரும். நாங்க வந்து நீங்க கஷ்டப்பட்டு நீங்க தமிழ் பாட போறீங்கன்னு நினைச்சிட்டு இருந்தோம். நீங்க தமிழ் பொண்ணுனே தெரியாது." So I was like, well, I am, for whatever it is worth. Around the time I had come, it was also the advent of the Kuttu song. So Appadi Podu happened in the same year as Kannathil Muttamita. All the awards went to Appadi Podu. Nobody cared about Kannathil Muttamita. But the thing is, that was a huge cycle. For about 7-8 years, the place of a melody song in an album was like 1:5 or 6. People went after dance numbers. I started my company, the language translation services company.
Blue Elephant.
Yeah, because I realized this singing is not going to help me pay my bills. And then it was only after Shivaji that I thought it was all over and out. There is nothing more here, and then somehow Rahman sir kind of kept me alive at every given point in time, because I was a very peculiar tone and a peculiar voice. It's only now that each time Rahman sir would make me sound differently and sing differently, And it's only after Shivaji and Maya Maya and Tere Bina
Then people saw your diversity.
And people saw me differently, and then I actually remember this comment from a musician who used to be doing these orchestras. அதெல்லாம் சின்மயி பாடி இருக்காது, அதெல்லாம் கம்ப்யூட்டர்ல தான் பண்ணிருப்பாரு ரஹ்மான் சார் அப்படின்ட்டாங்க. ஐயோ after that I had to sing it a million times live to say it is not the computer, but I have sung it.
And now the journey of Blue Elephant, right? You're a woman entrepreneur. You were very smart. I mean, when I was reading about you, you know, the kind of stuff that you have done, you've taken the void in the industry. People come from different, I mean, especially in South India, people from other languages coming and acting in movies is very common. And people not speaking from being the same industry is very common.
I am a dubbing artist.
You're a dubbing artist.
Which also happened by accident again, because Rahman's office asked me to go and voice test for Bhumika and Silinu Kadal. I said, I don't have a heroine's voice. I don't sound high-pitched and I don't laugh like a babbling brook, so that's not going to happen. So they were like, no, whatever is worth, just why don't you go and try? So, incidentally, there's this point in time when Bhumika goes to Australia and she comes back and she sounds very posh suddenly. So, I guess at some point, Mr. Gautam's assistant, Mr. Krishna, he decided he wanted to suffer me, and he did. He did suffer me for a while. Poor thing, he trained me left, right and center. And I said, I can't cry. How the hell do I cry on demand? I said, I can't cry and all that. But it was really
That was
sweet.
the first project as a dubbing artist.
And then now, I know how to manipulate to sound as if I'm crying. And some scenes are emotional enough that I do cry.
You do cry. In conversation with a very versatile singer and a multifaceted Chinmayi, we'll be right back. You're so versatile. I had Srinivasji come on the show earlier, and you know, I've spoken to a couple of singers through this talk show and stuff. Everybody, the first word that they describe you is versatile. You've shown that versatility through your singing, and not just singing, and the kind of work that you do. Recently, the Chennai went through one of its worst phases through floods and stuff like that. R.J. Balaji was there, and he was telling that being a woman, again, it's nothing to do with man and a woman, but it's about your desire to go and work, desire to go and help people at a situation where we would need help in that place. What was the thing that happened in Chennai then, and can you recollect the days then?
See, I think for the very similar reason that I'm a woman, I mean, I would have, my brother-in-law took his car out and wanted to, he did do that. He took the car out, started dropping people at home. This was before the flood water started rising. I didn't know what to do. My mom said, don't go out alone in the night, and typically like any other parent. So I was wondering what to do, and there were a lot of people who said, there's no electricity, I need to recharge my phone. So I used my husband's Paytm account and I recharged some 30-40 people's phone numbers, saying that who's on Airtel, who's on Aircel, give me your number, I'll get it done for you. So I started there, and then there were people who said, how do you know for sure that they are asking because I said, this is not really the time to be a doubting Thomas, neither is it my time to do due diligence to see whether somebody deserves it. If somebody requires that 50 or 100 bucks of recharge, fair. I mean, we waste that money on a daily basis in several ways. So Balaji was, I think his throat was hoarse and gone by the second day. So there was no point calling him and asking, what do you want? He'd be like, huh? Like his voice is gone. I think he probably, but he had already set this example several times before. He would go about getting a heart donor for a child, and so many things. He's done, he'll go about one fine Sunday, he'll go about distributing biryanis and but one thing was for sure, with the Chennai floods, I always complain that I find this very apathetic note as long as the city is concerned. The city proved me and probably itself wrong. We probably didn't have that sort of a fiber running in us, but from somewhere it came, and I wish it can continue. The momentum is what is difficult. I mean, I think that was true even during the independence struggle. I mean, people just didn't keep fighting all the time. There were lulls as well. People were tired of fighting for freedom. They wanted to go back to their lives, and then you had to keep waking them up from the stupor. The Chennai floods was a very rude wake-up call from the stupor that we were in, but I hope it can bring that continued sense of civic responsibility. I don't know if the city is better with civic responsibility after that. Have we become better citizens? I'm not sure. But I know that I can trust the city to take care of itself.
Absolutely. And on that serious note, in this season, we're also promoting health. We are promoting cancer awareness because India, and it's so alarming to know that double-digit people will be diagnosed with cancer in coming years. And cancer, especially one, is very expensive in terms of treatment. And number two, if it is not detected early, it can cost a life.
Yeah.
So we are spreading awareness on cancer. So what would you want to tell people watching this?
I've lost my uncle to cancer. I was too young. I never got to know him. So I've had a couple of demises in the family because of the disease. I've had friends who have, I'm very grateful to God, touch wood, who have fought the disease as well. And this is a friend of mine who's so positive that I'm sure it would have been tough for any disease to stay in her for such a long time. But yeah, I really wish people can get screened. I have been screened. I go through the screening every once in a while, the pap smears and everything else. But I just hope that it's very probably a strange prayer, but I just hope that everybody can just stay healthy and drive hospitals out of business.
Yeah.
Not just cancer. I think even the smallest of migraines can keep people out of. But yes, cancer, people need to have the awareness to go and check themselves. And also, I think one thing that everybody should stop doing is stop Googling their symptoms. They shouldn't Google headaches. They shouldn't do it.
Yeah. And you being such a wonderful singer, people watching this, there might be cancer patients watching this, or families of cancer patients, because it is a disease where you have to fight as a family, and positivity is very important. A song that you can sing 1 or 2 lines to dedicate to all of them.
ஒரு தெய்வம் தந்த பூவே கண்ணில் தேடல் என்ன தாயே வாழ்வு தொடங்கும் இடம் நீதானே வானம் உடையும் இடம் நீதானே காற்றை போல நீ வந்தாயே சுவாசமாய் நீ நின்றாயே மார்பிலூரும் உயிரே ஒரு தெய்வம் தந்த பூவே கண்ணில் தேடல் என்ன தாயே.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Last segment on the show. Quick questions and one-liner answers from you. One advice from someone that's completely changed your life.
There was this very long conversation that I had with the late Sridhar sir that I will always remember. I think I was quite down in the dumps with everything that was going on with life and career and everything, and he said, things will look up sooner or later. So yeah, I think that entire conversation actually, I don't have this one quotable quote that I can take away from. But
one incident of your life that kind of changed it, the way you look at life again?
Several, maybe the Chennai floods. It's changed the way that I looked at the city.
One song of yours that you have sung so far that you feel was one of the best that you have given?
I like this song called Maiya Yashoda as a composition in this film called Jhoota Hi Sahi. I really love that song. I don't know if it's my best, but I love that song.
One song in the recent times that you heard and you wish that, I could have sung that song, but it's a beautiful.
I don't have any such wishes of singing somebody else's song.
But any song that you've admired in the recent times?
Several. I mean, there are several singers that I admire, Shreya and Sunidhi, and I like Kanika Kapoor for her life story, very honestly. So many actually. I think after a point, more than the work, their voice or the way they sing, Arijit Singh, that man's, the guy is a huge inspiration.
One advice to, or anything that you want to say, young singers who are struggling to get in and they're passionate about singing, what would you want to tell them?
Opportunity will come knocking. I just hope they keep going at it, and I just hope they can keep learning the craft.
One message to the following people, Mr. Mani Ratnam.
Not a message, just a thank you.
A word, just a thank you. Mr. AR Rahman.
Oh, thanks for everything that I am doing right now, for the food on my plate to the car I drive. Yeah.
Singer Srinivas.
If not for him, No Kanathil Muthamittal, no singer Chinmayi. Yeah, not for him.
Miss Chitra ma'am, singer.
She's one of the most, she's such a clean-hearted human being that I remember this time when Kanathil Muthamittal had released and there was this, probably a year or two later. I still remember, I mentioned this on a television show as well. She had gone on print on an interview to say, if the question was who would be a singer who can probably take your place in the future. She named me. And I was like, who would have the heart to do that except her? I can't think of anybody. I don't know if I would have the heart, but I'm not evil. But yeah, I'm just saying.
Miss Revati.
For some reason, she's this person I have grown to love as an artist because she is somebody my mom said I love her, so I used to keep watching her films, and she's a powerhouse of a talent.
What about actress Samantha?
She's a doll. She's also a cartoon sometimes. She's a friend, so I'll dare say that.
Miss Sudha Raghunathan.
Absolutely, I think, and she's somebody who would always put her career and her music first. She existed as a musician first, and then as a wife, then as a mother, and it's brilliant. She's a brilliant lady.
Your dear friend R.J. Balaji.
A feminist, and one of the most selfless guys I know. Also very comical. He really hams this I don't know English thing.
But he was on the show speaking really good English.
Yeah, and every once in a while he goes into this, oh, I don't want to lose my touch with my audience because I want to speak bad English. I speak English, talk English. He's on that. And this one time that I spoke to him, I said, you don't really have a problem with speaking English. So why would you do that? And he has a very nice baritone when he goes on the, hello, this is R.J. Balaji. I'm like, is that you? I mean, like, really? Who is this person? But yeah, he hams this thing a lot, but for whatever his, I mean to each man his own. He's a lovely human being, and I'm proud to say that he's a friend. Very proud of him.
Any regrets in life, Chinmayi?
It's difficult to not have regrets in life, honestly. It's a life with no regrets. I wonder if that would even be interesting that way.
Yeah.
I do have regrets. I do have minimal ones, but it's okay. It had to happen.
One thing that gives Chinmayi a kick, a high.
I'd like to skydive, but it's not happening. I know it'll give me a kick, but my mother keeps kicking me on the backside to make sure that I don't do it. She literally comes and stands in front of the vehicle that is supposed to take me to skydive, and she will be like, no, and all that. All the melodrama will happen. But yeah, I mean, but each time if there's something that gives me a kick, it's singing.
Having spoken to you for the last 1 hour or so, one thing I can really make out is you're in a happy space. That is most important for anybody. Career, money, everything else is secondary. You're passionate about what you do, and you're very happy what you're doing. One last song to commemorate this talk show. Tere Bina is something that people love. Indians across the world love that. So if you can just sing.
सोना पीतल तेरे संग की कर पीपल आजा काटना रतिया.
I'm spellbound. Thank you. Thanks. It was a pleasure talking to you, and wonderful having you. Your thoughts on coming on the show? What did you expect before coming?
I expected a conversation, and I got that.
Great.
Thank you.
Before we let you go, our gifting partners, P and Rao.
Okay.
Your husband will be happy.
I presume so. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks a lot. Hi, this is Chinmayi. For a lot of inspiring stories and interesting personas that you might want to know a lot more about, do watch the show Let's Talk with Vinay and subscribe. Which also happened by accident again, because Rahman sir's office asked me to go and voice test for Bhumika and Silenu Kadal. I said, I don't have a heroine's voice. I don't sound high-pitched and I don't laugh like a babbling brook, so that's not going to happen.